Good evening, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us once again for our bi-weekly live stream, our Dharma talk and guided meditation. We are absolutely delighted to have you here with us, spending some of your precious time out of your day to educate your mind with the Dharma, to enhance your mindfulness and your meditation practice, and learn how to truly live a wholesome and a peaceful and a joyful life without all of the strife and the aggravation that tends to dwell upon and just consume our minds at times. So we're glad to have you here. Tonight's topic is Buddhism and mindfulness. Is it right for you? There are several major religions out there, and oftentimes we are forced to choose or fall in line with one of them. But that doesn't have to be the case, when it comes time to practicing mindfulness or Buddhism as well. So today is October 16th, 2023. Looks like it's a little after 6 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone. And so we'll start off with our guided meditation before we jump into our this evening's Dharma talk. And tonight's guided meditation really falls in line with the diversity of different perspectives, right, that we all encounter, even with ourselves sometimes, right? We can have different perspectives about others or even ourselves. And so this is acceptance in a world of different perspectives. So go ahead and let's begin by taking a moment, settle our bodies into that nice, comfortable position. You can be seated if you choose. You can lie down, whatever works best for you. You may keep your eyes slightly open with a soft focus, looking downward a few feet in front of you if you choose, or you may simply just have them closed all the way. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. You're allowed to allow yourself just that wonderful half smile to just rest on your face as well. You're bringing yourself into a state of ease and calmness. Allow your spine to lift and your shoulders to soften. And soften your belly as you continue settling in. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. And let's meditate about acceptance in a world of different perspectives. So I invite you to bring to mind, if you will, someone you typically agree with. You don't need to agree with them all of the time. but maybe on most occasions you do. When we agree with someone, we are reinforcing our own way of thinking. Perhaps it's a particular concept or notion or idea about a particular way of thinking or acting. We are keeping a veil of judgment over what truly is. Now, bring to mind a particular time with that same person that you did not agree with them. It could be about a large purchase or a destination, an intimate or a personal decision, or simply about when to eat a meal. This decision was made that best suited them at the time. Their perspective was different from ours. When we disagree with someone, we are reinforcing our own way of thinking and not accepting what fully and truly is around us in that particular moment. You are keeping a veil of judgment of what truly is. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. Now, bring to mind a decision or situation which you had no active participation in. And it could be a decision or situation that you either agree with or disagree with. It could be a decision a higher up made at work. It could be a decision about how a neighbor decorates their yard. It could be a decision about a corporation and a new policy. Or perhaps it's even a political decision. No matter what this decision was, it was one that you had no input on. And recall your reaction or your emotions upon first learning about it. It's important to accept changes that occur around us non-judgmentally and with openness. Breathe in, pause, and breathe out. Remembering that acceptance is not the same as agreement. When we don't accept a circumstance, we are perpetuating our own idea, our own concept, and our own notion about how something should be and not how it is. And we are not accepting of perspectives different of ours. We are keeping a veil of judgment over what truly is and are not able to see clearly. Without clarity, we are not able to engage with ourselves, others, or the world around us with mindful intent. Go ahead and slowly begin to open your eyes, to reorientate yourselves to your surroundings before you stand and move around or reshift your position. Wonderful. So many different perspectives out there. And sometimes we're not able to view them with clarity. And therefore we judge, thinking that someone who may be thinking differently than we are, sometimes we can think that they are inferior, or sometimes we even may begin to think that we are inferior. So it can kind of go both ways, depending on the person, right? Especially if it's someone that you revere. Maybe there is a celebrity or something that you admire and maybe you want to, emulate them to some degree. Be careful with that though, right? We oftentimes only see what people want us to see. So just like we do, right? Others don't often see us, when we are truly vulnerable. And that's where mindfulness can come in, right? Or even Buddhism in general, right? And just determining, maybe, is mindfulness right for me? Or is Buddhism right for me? That's kind of what we're going to just explore a little bit. If you notice, you don't find a lot of proselytizing, right? In Buddhism, they don't knock on your doors or send flyers and so forth. That has a lot to do with the philosophy of not causing suffering. Right? Think about some times when perhaps you may get a mailer or somebody knocking at your door, right? Even though that person has the best intentions, right, of perhaps spreading their message, right? It can still cause suffering within us. So that's why we don't often find, monks going around or the laity going around and handing out pamphlets and so forth. And so, but when we look at all of the other religions, right, there are many out there in the world, and oftentimes we just fall in line to what our parents are, right, or even what our society or our culture is, even if it's a small section of a city, right? Depending on cities, sometimes they are often segregated in their own religious communities. And so we may fall in line just automatically by our birth, right? And each religion is unique in their own ideology, their own core beliefs, or their core tenets, and their customs, sometimes even dress and hairstyles as well, right? And that is really wonderful, right? It can really be very beautiful when we see this, right? When we see those wonderful groups of people out there. And I always just where I live, there's a religious community near us, and I love seeing them. They're very friendly, very, very friendly people, and just willing to help when they can. So yeah, there are no religions out there that I know of personally that are just deliberately harmful or hurtful. Oftentimes it's when those situations arise, it's the result of a bad leader, right? Somebody who is egotistical or narcissistic and so forth. But I believe that all the religions that I'm familiar with anyway, none are like that. None are evil or wanting to hurt somebody else. And this is, certainly a good thing, right? It's a good thing since, any religion is supposed to be helpful, right? It's supposed to answer your questions, right? And being uplifting as well, right? And Buddhism included, right? It's certainly supposed to be helpful and uplifting and, a pathway to answer your questions and so forth. So that's where, a wonderful alignment of Buddhism and all the other religions are. They all lie in that same. If there were a Venn diagram, I don't know why I'm on Venn diagrams lately, but Venn diagrams, right? That's where it's a big circle. They're all overlapping, right? But there is no religion that I'm aware of that permits you to be two religions at the same time. I think it's, and again, I could be wrong. I don't know offhand this particularly. And I don't think that, one person would say, I'm a Muslim and a Catholic, right? I don't think that would be permitted in either one of them. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But this is where the difference comes in with Buddhism, right? There are no such requirements in that one may be only a Buddhist. Maybe just be what you practice, which is fine, right? But there's no tenet that says that. There's no requirement that says that. And so why is that? It's a pretty profound question. Why is that? Why can you be a Buddhist and a Catholic or Buddhist and a Hindu, or Buddhist and an atheist. You could be. Absolutely. And the story goes, or the reason being, is that when Siddhartha Gautama, went about to find what are these causes of suffering, what causes suffering, and if possible, how do we stop it or cease, the cessation of suffering, or ease it at least. And he was looking for real world answers to these conditions of suffering. That was his purpose, right? Real world answers. And what he found were real world answers. And with these real world answers, he set out, on that path for all living beings to walk, if they choose. That's important to understand too. It's if they choose. It's not a forcible practice, right? No one is forced to do anything, nor are you judged if you don't. Because the purpose of Buddhism is the easing of suffering. Yes, for others, but also for yourself. And when you ease suffering for yourself, you ease suffering for others. When you ease suffering for others, you ease suffering for yourself. So no one is forced to behave a certain way if they don't want to. And I think that's a very powerful quality that it has. So none of the answers, right, that were found, nor steps on the path, and this is interesting, right? None of those answers that Siddhartha, or the Buddha at this time, right, found, or none of those steps on the path require a belief in a god or gods, which is important as well. Although they do not discount their existence. Right? So remembering the purpose of Buddhism, to ease suffering. Real world, right? Only we, the individual, can ease our own suffering. And a really good example of that is, think about maybe you're lonely, right? And you're feeling sad, like I'm never going to find, my soulmate, or the perfect mate, or whomever, okay? Whatever perfect mate, right? It's not that the perfect mate necessarily comes along, but it's the fact that you open yourself up to it, right? The conditions were there, that joyfulness, the happiness that this other person may bring you, they didn't bring it to you. You allowed it to prosper in yourself. You allowed it to nurture in yourself. It was already there. And so we let go of our suffering of being lonely, right? Because we've allowed someone else to come in. Same thing for feeling sorrow or hurt. We allow that sorrowfulness or the hurt to manifest or to present itself in ourselves. So that's what Buddhism is about, right? It's easing of that suffering, knowing that we are the ones, the individual, are the ones responsible for our emotions. So with that, is Buddhism about? That's what Buddhism is about, right? It's the easing of suffering. And is it right for you? Right? And that's what mindfulness is as well. Is it right for you? And guess what? That's a personal question for you. It's not one that I can tell you yes or no. It's not one somebody else can tell you yes or no. That is a decision that you have the freedom to make. You're not coerced into it. I'm not going to tell you yes or no. Somebody else hopefully won't tell you yes or no either. That's a decision for you to explore. And so I regularly instruct others, with their mindfulness and the meditation and, the Dharma as well, from all walks of life, all kinds of people, from lawyers. We were just with the Minnesota Public Defender's Office over the weekend. Farmers, talk with farmers, current and former military members, people in the medical field, nurses and doctors, yoga instructors and practitioners, people suffering from addiction or loss and grief, or simply those who are curious. What is mindfulness about? Right? And each person is looking to ease their own suffering in their own way. Buddhism is like a raft crossing a stream. You've probably heard this story before, right? You take what you need and you leave what you don't. Once you come across the stream, right, you know that you can't cross it. There's a raft, right? You use the raft to cross the stream. And once you're over, once you've forded the stream, you leave the raft behind. You don't continue carrying it when you don't need to. And that's what mindfulness is about. And that's what Buddhism is about. Right? There's a particular moment, and that moment is right here and now. And when it's gone, it's gone. In Buddhism, there aren't many rules to really follow, but there are some precepts that if you want to live a wholesome life, right, a life of joy, that we do follow. Right? Nothing extravagant, nothing, that probably groundbreaking. You've heard them before in some shape or form before, and simply no killing. Right? The first precept in Buddhism is no killing. Right? Any living being. Right? When we kill something, we are causing suffering. Well, that's one of the ideas of Buddhism, right? Not to cause suffering for others or ourselves. So no killing. No lying. Right? What happens when you get caught in a lie? You're suffering. The other person's suffering. Right? You have to remember the lie that causes suffering because you're worried about, am I going to slip up when I speak? So no lying. Right? Honesty is the best policy. No stealing. Right? We don't steal. We take only what is freely given to us. Right? And that can even be, I'm just going to borrow this and I'll put it right back. Right? Your neighbor's ladder, perhaps. Right? They may be looking for it at that particular moment. What happened to my ladder? Right? Even though you had the intentions of bringing it back, still only taking what has been freely given. No sexual misconduct, right? We certainly don't want to cause any physical or sexual violence to anyone else. We would not like that done to us, right? So willing participants and of age, right? And of age. It's very important. And no taking intoxicants, right? In order for us to experience the present moment, we have to be in the present moment. And if we are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, we're not in the moment. And it takes it away. Obviously, open heart surgery or, an organ transplant, is certainly different. It's not recreational, right? That's an important distinction. And these are the wonderful qualities of Buddhism, right? There are so many ways to just walk that path, just as long as you don't hurt anyone else or yourself in the process. And that's why it aligns with so many other religions as well, right? It's not exclusatory. It's very inclusive, right? No negative responses or to sexual preferences or orientations, right? Everyone's welcome. Political ideologies, everyone's welcome. You're just not hurting yourself or others when you're acting in whatever capacity it is throughout your day. So the 5 precepts, kind of what we just talked about, right? They can be found in some form or another, right? In all of those other religions. So think about that. That's a wonderful overlap, right? And all beings suffer, right? And Buddhism and mindfulness is simply a way to live a life of peace, right? And harmony and respect for all living beings. And so as to not to inflict or increase suffering. When you're increasing another person or another being's suffering, you are increasing your own as well. It goes both ways. So is it right for you? Explore more, right? Read up, ask questions, and see if what the Buddha taught fits with you and your own personal beliefs. And that's the freedom and the liberation that mindfulness and Buddhism offers. It's up to you. Completely up to you, your decision. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you do have any questions, you are absolutely welcome to type into the chat or in the comments below, or send us a message via email, whatever works best. We're here to answer your questions as best as we can and to help you enjoy peacefully and in harmony with yourself and others. Our next Dharma talk will be a live question and answer session on October 30th. So go ahead and submit your questions as well. You can put them in the chat below or the comments, or email them to us here or our Facebook page or Instagram or whatever you choose. Go ahead and send us your questions. Our Dharma Institute is open as well, and that's where we have we've condensed all of our courses into that area. But if you have a scholarly paper or research that supports Dharma studies, and submit it. You're welcome to submit it. More information can be also found on our webpage under the Dharma Institute. And don't forget our weekly Sanghas, free events, our healing Sangha, our veteran Sangha, new beginnings, teens, welcoming Sangha. They're all free. Just come register. And you only have to register so I know who's coming, so I can say, hey, what's going on? But come join us if you have the availability, or you can meet with us free, free one-on-one sessions as well for guided meditations or just to talk, whatever's on your mind. The registration's there for you. And we'll end our Dharma talk this evening with the 3 jewels. And so go ahead and, if you choose, I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. And with that, dear Sangha and brothers and sisters, I wish you all a wonderful evening of peace, ease, and well-being. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.